Hello Chipsters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're looking at just three figures, and yes, they're not based yet. Although if I did base them like this, it'd be very simple. These are Empress Miniatures. They're 28mm, they're metal figures, and they represent the United States Marine Corps as it was in the battle for Hue, 1968 in the Vietnam War, late January 1968. I've always been interested in the Vietnam War, different aspects of it, but I've always been interested in the battle for Hue and the street fighting, uh, because obviously it wasn't something, with the Tet Offensive, there were obviously infiltrations throughout all the main cities and large towns, probably small towns as well. So there was obviously street fighting going on throughout southern Vietnam, but Hue was on a different scale, and it was on a scale that even harder than it probably needed to be because it was an ancient city. The Marines and the Arvin, for that matter, because there were a lot of Arvin there as well. That's the Army of the Republic of Vietnam. They had strict orders not to use their more heavier ordnance in the street fighting, and it might have made it easier to use that ordnance. It could have made it harder with obviously creating more rubble. But yeah, I've always had an interest. I got some. I've said to you guys before, but for anybody that's just joining the channel and hasn't seen my Vietnam stuff before, there was a magazine in the UK in the late '80s called Eyewitness Nam, and it was one of these that you got every 2 weeks or once. I think it was every 2 weeks, and you got your binder at the end. And I've still got it to this day. And it's very good to give you some. Obviously, they had full access to lots of photographs from the war, and it went through all the stages of the war, obviously right till the American withdrawal, and the Vietnamese government, staggering on for a few more years. But Hue, and I often like to um, to concentrate on the I Corps area of Vietnam's where the Marines were chiefly operating. It's just, I think, easier to get down into the nuts and bolts of something by concentrating on one area. That doesn't mean I don't take in obviously the Delta and everywhere else. It's I do, um, but I particularly like to read up on the I Corps area, and it's not just the Marines but the Army as well. Um, and I obviously take in the flying side of it, for want of a better word, the naval side of it. But Hue has always had a deep interest for me. So when Empress brought these figures out, I just had to, partake. Now, this figure, I believe, and another one I'm showing you, a marra of the channel, Steve Sanford, sent me figures that he was no longer using. I mean, to be fair to him, he said, just put them on eBay if you want to. I went, no, these are for my own collection. We're in the same problem as I said to you before, and this isn't a swing at Empress. It's just, as I said to you guys before, when we're talking about the price of figures, I'm not having a swing at the companies for that. They're all smaller companies, and they're all having to fight transport costs, obviously, because of this muppet in the fuel rising and all the rest of but it was all before that. We've got fuel. This country in the UK, we have probably the most highest energy costs in most of the world, and it's crippling everything. It's just crippling manufacturing of all sorts. So, I get it. It's just that it's really squeezing out people like myself who, you don't have a lot of money, and it's hard to get hold of these figures in any quantity. But Steve sent me what he'd got left of these Empress figures, and thank you, Steve. I was really appreciative of that, as you know. Um, so I've done this one in a frog pattern, roughly, helmet, they're all very faded, so you don't have to be overly precise. These are all Paul Hicks sculpts, excellent sculptor, and obviously he's included all the foliage for putting when you put foliage in the helmet. So I'll just put a bit of black brown or rubber black from AK, well watered down. You don't want it too stark. I do different variant faded colours of the combat body armour. So this is what I call like the oatmeal type look, and then I dirty them up obviously in different. Some are more dirty than others. One thing I don't do on the helmets or the flak jackets is put any type of graffiti on. I just think at this scale, it would probably blur out. It just distorts what you're looking at, if that makes sense. Doesn't really, does it? I do have a go at putting like the US on the canteens and some of the equipment, just for a bit of difference. But yeah, really nice. Lovely figures. So that's the first one here, and say he's in frog pattern. I'll just put him to the side for now because the camera will want to keep fixating on that one. The next one, as I say, I can't remember because I tend to put the Marines all in the same box, so I'm not sure which. I know he sent me the full because they do the full metal jacket figures, and it's been that long since I've seen full metal jacket. I couldn't tell you which figures are which. I know the one with the camera on is. And he's got his bug repellent and his probably some gun oil for the M16s and maybe the M60. The M16s did have a lot of. I presume they've solved that problem long ago. But when they were first introduced into Vietnam, for most of the Vietnam War, it was quite a finicky weapon. If it got too dusty, too wet, you really had to keep it clean. Whereas, from what I've heard, the M14, which would have been my, I keep saying I'm a fan of the 7.62 round, which is what he's got for the machine gun for the M60 around him. 7.62 round is like a cannon. It really does the business. Where the 5.62 round, I just I'm not so impressed with that. Anyway, so with these, I would advise you to get like a 0.4 mil drill or something like that, and just drill out the sight straight carrier there, because it will be solid otherwise. You can just black it out with some paint, but it's not hard to just drill that out. You can do it with a pin vise or even by hand sometimes, as it is in just with a drill bit sometimes. Yeah, I really like that. The shovels were usually painted like olive green, but obviously the paint will, I don't know if it's olive green, but like a green. I don't know. Most of the ones that I've seen are fairly worn where the paint's come off, so I've just put some wood underneath. This is the rain jackets that you see a lot of them wearing, the trousers and the top, because it just as the NVA and the Viet Cong when they started entering into Hue, the rain started, and it did have a massive effect on flying support missions, because Hue wasn't. Although I talk a lot about the street fighting, you've got to understand the fighting that was going on around the surrounding area, which was all to do with the Battle of Hue, because it was North Vietnamese, that include the Viet Cong in that, trying to stop things like the air cavanat, trying to get, make sweeps to open up the routes in and out of Hue. So that's all included in it as well. I like to. Oh yeah, that was it. See, this is when you don't have a mind left. So we're talking about the waterproofs. Let's not get into the fighting around way. Uh, the waterproofs, yeah, it was raining a lot, and you'll often see them in waterproofs. The only thing that you'd have to show them really is the hood flopped out over the top of the CBA if you wanted to say show the jackets, and obviously the waterproofs didn't have the big bellows pockets, so it'd be a bit hard to replicate that. I believe I have done it in a couple of ones because I can't remember now if Paul had shown some waterproofs or not, but they were. If you look at photographs, especially colorized ones or colored ones at the time, they are shown, quite often. So yeah, again, cracking figures as usual. Paul does his research, and it often shows. And to give full credit to Empress, they obviously know what they want, and before they give Paul the commission type thing, I'm imagining that they say, well, we like this, this, and this. This is the Full Metal Jacket figure. So I believe those pair might be. I just can't remember. And it's the one with the camera. I mean, I've got the camera there. For my collection, I'm he can be again a Marine Corps photojournalist. I'm not. It's not a Full Metal vibe I've got going on there. The grenades, I did try and put some yellow lines around for the frag grenades, and a bit of just dots to represent the writing. And I think this guy's got his pipe as well that he had in the film. I think it was him, that brown bit there. And what I forgot to do is put a tiny black speck to show the bowl of the pipe, but we'll sort that. But yeah, lovely, lovely figures. Well impressed. I've only got, as I say, this is the crunch time now because I'm going to have to, until I sell some more, I'm going to put some more figures up for sale. Just nothing, I haven't sold any, well, I haven't tried to sell any figures on eBay for at least 6 weeks, probably 2 months. Just nothing was selling. It was just getting for a bloke with clinical depression, apart from everything else, it was making me depressed. So, but if I can sell some figures, I'll probably put some money to getting some more of the Marines. I will start getting some Arvin as well, and I do need to get some MVA. I get the odd bag, but at the moment, I mean, with this project, like so many of mine, I'm in no real rush. I just enjoy recreating Vietnam in a small scale. So I've got this guy here. This was mine. It's the last of my figures, I believe. I have gone rooting around the box and rooting around any spare bags, and I've found lots of other figures in the lead pile that I haven't painted, but not the Empress Vietnam range. So why I've left this guy off, I'm not too sure, because I must have done both Radio Men and just not painted him for some reason, because it came in a pack with two, I suppose, officers, one of could be squad leaders, but with two Radio Men, so he's got to be done. I can't remember if the M48 tank had a phone at the back, because most modernish tanks have a phone at the back, so that the tank commander doesn't have to stick his head out the tank. The infantry don't have to jump on the tank to try and shout instructions down to the tank commander or the crew. So you just open a box and there's usually a phone on the back. I don't believe it has, but I was going to say I could have put him behind the M48. Because I've got a short up when I was showing these. I just gave you the green colours for these. So if you want to know the green colour, just go over to the shorts. It's in the short section, and it'll tell you the basic greens. Obviously, the greens change because I add different colours to dirty them up. So yeah, I've got this guy. I will paint him because I believe I've got the two radio ops. And then these are two that were in the last of Steve's Marines. I've got some Australians that Steve sent me, and some others. But these are the last two Marines that I've got. The bloopers, obviously grenade launcher. I held them back because I'd already got some of these, and I thought, well, I'll paint them when I want to paint them. So that's why they're at the bottom of the list. but I will, as I've got them, and I'll probably get these. And you can't have too many bloopers, especially in Way. Uh, Firing through windows, firing over crumpled up walls and stuff, quite effective. So and they're lovely poses. Um, Again, Paul takes these direct from photographs and uh, and film at the time. But if you haven't seen there's some great. You can get some great cheap books on eBay. I've got the three that I need for Huay, and they're all you know like hour by hour type accounts, day by day, and it really is fascinating. And I can't give you. I will show them I'm going to show some of the collection off. Uh, when I do that, I'll show you the two or three books that I use to plot, where things are and what's happening in play at the time. I said on the shorts, and I'll say it here because a lot of people don't watch the shorts. I don't blame you. I'm not a big short fan myself. I've got an M48 tank coming in the 156 scale from Rubicon. I bought it myself, and that was from Jadlam. Now it's been a few days, and with my memory problems, I've already forgotten how much it cost. Especially when my wife's in the next room. It was about 23 with the post, 21. I mean, they say free post, but I would imagine they put the postage in like everyone else. But we'll go with the free post. It was about 22 quid, I think, and you can do the standard M48 or you can do the Zippo, so the flamethrower version. And I've been promising myself an M48 since I started this collection. And when the Empress do some nice resin ones, but when Rubicon said, I mean, it seemed to take them forever to get the M48 to market, but they got there in the end. And I kept promising myself to get one. I was going to get one for last year, and I never did. And I'd given myself a particular time of June or July of this year. No idea. But anyway, I thought, no, I'm going to get. If I don't get this M48 now, I'll never get it. So I'm going to get the M48, and I will treat it as a scale model. I will. I've got a fancy to probably war game these. I keep saying this with everything, and I just don't. It's, as I say, I've got with my head problems. My memory is like a sieve, and trying to do any type of stuff like that and remember things like rules is massively difficult. So yeah, we'll see. But if I don't ever do anything with the whole collection, it's just been I just really enjoyed doing these. The guys that run Empress, I can't remember the names. I think it's husband and wife. Did say to me in an email because a while ago I'd got the wrong packet of figures or whatever a couple of times, and they're really good and they sorted everything out. And they did say that they've got plans to do. I think they said air cav. Air cav is almost like to me, it's like standard infantry. I'd like to see some standard infantry. I would, and they did say they were bringing Arvin out at the time, and they brought the Arvin out, and I will be painting some Arvin figures. Yeah, and you can do some different armor as well. Like the Arven used the Chaffee light tank, and the Bulldog, the M41. Is it the M48 Chaffee, or is it the M43? No, it wouldn't be M48 because that'd be the pattern, you fool. M24. I think it's the M24 Chaffee and the M41 Bulldog. I think they used them both. And the crews were panicking a lot because they were trying to head up roads to get into Hue with no infantry support. And as we know, armour in built up areas without infantry either side, it takes a long time to get a tank up a road. Because the infantry have to clear house to house, because otherwise there's a big chance that tank's going to get knocked out by a. I mean, the Bulldog's got really thin armour, and because they're reconnaissance tanks, it was there to replace the Chaffee, and it's got really thin armour, and they don't take much from a recoilless 75mm recoilless rifle, or or even RPGs, and Viet Cong NVA would knock out a couple of tanks, and the rest of the crews would panic, and they'd either abandon the tanks or they'd just shut up shop inside the tank and hope nobody noticed them. But when the Marines were then trying to get them to go forward with them to give them tank support, they had no intention of doing that. So, and there were a couple of the couple of the bridges and whatever that they, if I remember rightly, they couldn't use the M48 on because they were just too. The M48 would have ended up as a dam in the middle of the canals and stuff, the canal systems. So but you can use, if you're doing MVA, if you're doing Arvin, you could do a Rubicon Chaffee. I don't know if they do the Bulldog, but yeah, there's options if you want to do some vehicles. I will probably get the Empress mule with they mounted a recoilless rifle on it, literally on the spot. It wasn't something they normally did, but I will get. Only got to get an Ontos as well at some point, which was a small two-man track vehicle with 1, 2, 3, I think 6 recoilless rifles strapped to the side. Yeah, I really hope I'll probably get an Empress mule, because I think Rubicon only do, for the price, which was about 20 quid, if you're only going to get one mule and a recoilless, I didn't think that was a particularly great deal for the size of what it is, compared to what you're paying only like £1 or two more for an M48 tank. So I should probably go down the Empress route for the mule with the recoilless rifle. So I'm getting this. My wife's just started talking on the business call next door. Right, I'll let you go because she's going to be bleeding into this soon. So you look after yourselves. I'm sorry if I'm waffling. It's a thing I enjoy doing. Well, yeah, I enjoy waffling, but it's a subject I really like. And I haven't done any of these for a long while, so it was good to get these. I'd already had these 3 primed. It was just I hadn't done anything with them for months. So look after yourselves. There will be more of these Empress Vietnam figures coming up at some point when I've got the funds to do so. Yes, I went out and bought a Rubicon tank, and I could have put it on the figures. But I wanted an M48. Blooming lovely when they're in. And I need to get some. Not that the Arven were using the APCs, but I don't believe, obviously, the Marine Corps were using those. But I will get some Rubicon APC at some point, the M113s. So look after yourselves. When the post ever arrives with my my M48 tank, I will give you an unboxing, and we'll take it from there. Look after yourselves, and thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look, and we'll catch each other soon on another video.